on automatically, so there we go. Thanks for mentioning that.
No problem.
Can everybody see my Google Slides?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to try and do it up here because I have a couple of videos that I wanted to use and I need to do it here. But sometimes the screen sharing doesn't like Google for some reason. So anyways, I wanted to remind everybody that test 1 opens on Connect on the 28th, which is Thursday, I believe, to the 29th. Does everybody know how to find test 1? Everybody's kind of the master of Connect now. It's pretty simple, but I know you guys have a lot going on right now with everything. So, okay, perfect. So go in there, you can do your test. Any accommodations that were sent to me have all been done. If I've spoken to lots of people, if you want to confirm, you're welcome to email me, but it's all good. I got everybody. If during the test you have any problems at all, feel free to, not questions about content, please. Just if you get booted out or a technical issue or something. First of all, if you have a technical issue, first thing you do is screenshot what the technical issue is. And that just shows everybody that, yeah, I was here and something happened. Secondly, on Connect, they've got their help or contact or IT. Find that. It's a good idea to know where that is. Those are the people who can help you. You can tell me, but they still are the people who can help you. So if you ever have an issue, message, like take a screenshot so you can show this is the error that I got or whatever. And then contact the IT people and they can help you. And then if not, you can text me or call me or whatever. Okay, so that's about test 1. The second thing is on the 29th at 11:59, those chapter readings close. Now, those are a good idea to prep for the test anyways. So it's not like extra work. That's like practice for the test, right? And I did that on purpose so that you could practice the questions. Also, there's the full chapter readings at the bottom of Connect. You probably saw those. They're long. They're like 3 hours per chapter. But they are, if you do those, you should know this stuff inside out. Like you really should. But if there's a chapter that you're sort of stuck on or concepts that you're kind of stuck on, it's a good investment of your time to try to get an A if you go and do the full chapter readings. Everything in the chapter is fair game, not just the stuff that's in the chapter readings, yada yada. February 12th is the myth or reality assignment. It's 10%. The rubric is now posted in the assignment. The one thing I wanted, actually, I'm going to just quickly go over this with you. Where are you? You're here. So you pick one question from chapters 1 to 4 from this myth or reality rubric, right? Can you guys see my screen right now? Yes, good, thank you. Okay, hold on. People waiting to get in. Oh, rubric, sorry. This is it. Basically, APA formatting expected where applicable. There's no quotes required. This is your personal reflection. You can use the word I. No problem. It is a 2-page maximum. 1 page is perfectly acceptable. Okay, I only put a 2-page maximum there just because I know some of you are going to go over. But at the top of the page, just put your title, like all on one line. Put the title and your name and your student number. Okay. Choose one of the statements, and just based on that, discuss videos, just reflect and address the questions provided. It's just for you to be reflecting on the material in some way. If you go over, this is, so the first line here is structure and organization. Okay, that one's just out of 2. If you go over 2 pages, it's you're getting 0. Okay. There's just too many. Yeah, you definitely don't need 2 pages. If you can do it in 1 page, wonderful. Okay. Clarity, that one's out of 3. And then depth of reflection is out of 5. So it's 10%. Okay. Does anybody, oh, and I prefer 1.5% line spacing because double is just a waste of space. Does anybody have any questions at all about this?
Are you adding any, like, you're not adding any personal information, right? It's like strictly on the chapters?
Well, it's a reflection, so it's your thoughts. So if your thoughts,
Okay.
if it's, no, I would say if it's a reflection, you're integrating ideas and thoughts and maybe experiences that you've had. So absolutely.
Okay.
Have, maybe you've been in similar situations and you didn't understand something, but then you've looked at these theories and you pull these things together, and maybe you would have done things differently because you understand. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. No, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't, oh yeah, don't, not that you were saying this. New thing not to do. Do not summarize chapters because I don't need a summary. I want to know your thoughts on something. That's it. And it can be, yeah, the tiniest of points, but just well flushed out, right? Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to go over there. Where's my slides? Do. Oh, and then the second one, assignments. Oh, when you guys go into a breakout room, I did do up a lesson plan rubric. It's still a work in process because there's a couple of things that I need to change. The times that I've taught this were at Alt House with the teacher candidates, and then a few other places. So I'm editing the assignment to be suitable for like an intro psych course. So let me pull, oh heck, I'll just pull it up. Lesson plan assignment. Okay, so it's 2 pages. One page is going to look like the templates that are in the resource. You can choose either the BOPS or this one. I don't care what your template looks like. It's what works for you. Okay. All lesson plans that are done properly have the same components. They may have different names. So try to be a little flexible here. So they all have a bridge that introduces the lesson. And these are this, the reasons for it, grabs the attention, communicates why the lesson is important, increases focus, links prior experience, increases motivation. It has to be related to the learning. So it's the warming up of things. You're going to have learning objectives, 3 to 5, and I'm going to show you, we're going to go into how to do them. In the resource folder, there is a file called research-based curriculum design, and it says exactly how to make learning objectives. So I am happy to, we're going to go over it and teach it, but it is right there as well. Pre-assessment, so you have to know what they already know. Now, it doesn't mean you're doing a test, right? It can just be something as simple as you just ask them a question or two, and you can gauge from their responses what they know. You can play a game, and if they're all getting the wrong answers, that's your assessment. You know how, any way of establishing where they are. It's very informal. The learning focus is the part where you're actually teaching, and depending what it is you're teaching determines how much student generated, like collaborative learning is there going to be, versus how much you may have to have some direct instruction in there. It depends what the skill you're teaching. It depends the age group, but you have to make this part specific, developmentally appropriate for your people. Then there's always a part where they practice it on their own or do activities, right? They need to be able to work through it, talk about it, collaborate, practice the activity. This is where things differ a little between the two of them. The BOPS says you have a summary at the end to summarize what you learned. Whereas the other method uses this thing called activate. So you give them some sort of activity or homework or something to show them how this pertains to real life, how they're going to use it in their real life. I like doing both. Of course, I'm going to show them how it pertains in their real life, but I'm also going to give a quick summary of what we talked about and ask if there's any questions, right? And a post-assessment is any way that you can determine if they learned it. Okay, so that is it. It says very, very large writing here. This is a draft. It's going to look something like this. I wanted you to see what it was going to look like so you had some idea where you were heading. There may be tiny changes, but this is the draft. And when I do finalize it, I will put final on there and then you'll know. But this is basically it. So I have it out of 45 right now, divided, and it's 15%. It is 2 pages. So the first page is the part where you have your lesson plan. The second page is where you kind of explain why you chose the activities that you did and why you made some of the decisions that you did based on maybe their age, their developmental level, that sort of thing. Any questions on that? Okay, well, that's easy. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to get to my slides now. Actually, let's take a look and see, make sure everybody's got their. Are you seeing those groups? Yes? Okay. So actually, this is what I'd like to do now, because we just talked a little bit about the lesson plan. It's 12:20. I'm just going to open up 17 rooms. I do need to speak with Hazel and find out what group you're going into, and maybe with Daniel, if Daniel's here. I'm going to put you in your groups and just give you 5 minutes to talk about what your lesson plan might be. This is my suggestion for you. You can think of a skill. The point of the lesson plan is for you to be learning the different aspects of creating a lesson plan. It is not for you to be designing your ultimate curriculum. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you're teaching. You can be teaching, like I said before, I was teaching how to write your name in Japanese for mine. You can teach how to bake a cake. You can teach capitals of Canada. You can make it curriculum based and do a geography lesson where you're teaching them about something in geography. You can teach whatever you want as long as it's going to be, and just make it appropriate to your age group.
Dr. Laura,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but actually I don't see my name. I'm not sure if it's in the upper groups.
Do you see it now? Which group did you sign up for?
Actually, I did not sign up for any group because today was my first day, as I said, to attend this lecture.
So I'm going to put everybody into groups. If you do not have a group, or Daniel or Hazel or Dina, I need you to stay in the main room because we have to get you into a group.
All right, thank you.
Most of the groups have 4 already. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So I'm going to open up 17 rooms. Everybody go into your room. You can just have, 10 minutes or 5 minutes to talk about your skill. Your skill, your lesson, whatever. If you can't think of one right now, do not try to think of the perfect one. There is no perfect one. Just think of something, and you're not committed to it. You can change it, but just think of something to work with in the meantime. Okay? All right, so let me get these breakout rooms.
I don't see my group. I don't know if that's a problem, but my group members are messaging me too, saying they can't see us.
What's your group number?
Number 11.
Okay, I'm going to put everybody else in the group. Anybody, group 11, you stay here, and the single people. I'm going to get everybody else going. So go to your room. If you have trouble, if you can't find the button, just wait a second and I will put you in there, okay? It is 12:24. Hopefully we'll be back by 12. We'll be back by 12:35. We only have about 10 minutes. It should work now. Okay, so I'm going to go find group 11 and see where you went. Huh. Okay.
Dr. Hogarth, I do have a group. My group is 4, but it's not letting me join. I don't have that option.
That's okay. First of all, group 11, you can go to group. I have your names here. I have Sarah, Charlotte, Megan, and Paige. So I'm going to add you guys in. So you can just go to group 11.
Thank you.
And I don't know who said that. What is your name?
Allison Lillian.
Allison Liam. What number do you want?
Group 4.
Okay, other people, obviously, but can you take off your mutes?
I actually have the same problem. I'm in group 4 usually as well.
Yeah, so when I call out your name, just say a number and I'll put you there. So where's Sarah Sala?
I'm in group 11.
Luke Arsenault.
I'm in group 17.
Jenna Cartland.
Group 8.
Morgan.
Group 13, please.
Elias.
Sorry, I didn't get to see that number, but I'm in the group with Hector, Jacob, and Dave. I think if you scroll down, yeah.
It's group 3.
Group 3. Okay. Yeah, group 3. Thank you.
Abby,
17.
Trevor, Trevor,
Group 8.
Megan, Dina,
Yeah. Actually, I'm not in a group yet.
okay, Shannon,
I'm not in a group either, but I just joined group 6. Should I unjoin it?
well, did you make group 6 doesn't have room though? They're full, are they?
Oh, are they? Okay, I'm just gonna unjoin it. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not.
Yeah, no, we have to because they've all got 4s already. So anybody who doesn't have a group, we need to keep you out and I'll tell you which groups have 3, or if it has 3 in it, you could ask them. Amy,
It's okay. Group 4.
Charlotte,
Group 11.
Dave,
Group 3, please.
okay. So Anna, do you have a group? So we've got Anna, Dina, Sarah, Shannon, and Hazel. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anna, can you guys take your mutes off so we can talk? Sarah and Anna. Everybody? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how about this? You guys, I'm going to leave for 5 minutes. You guys have a little chat. There's the 3 age groups. There's 5 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Dr. Laura?
Yeah.
Group 15 only has 3 people. That's what I see. Maybe you want to put one of us there, and then the rest 4 can be in a new group.
Well, does one of you want to go to group 15?
I'm in group 15.
Sarah?
I just joined the Zoom meeting, yeah.
Oh.
Am I not supposed to be in this?
Well, you're supposed to, yeah, you missed the instruction, that's all. Okay, so group 15 has I'm sorry, who am I going to put in there? Is that Dina?
I can join them. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I need you to say your names because I can't always see who's talking.
Yeah,
so,
Dina.
You're going to go into group 15?
Yeah.
Solved. So I'll put Dina in there. And then that means that Hazel, Shannon, and Anna, the 3 of you are going to be a group together, okay?
Okay.
Actually, we're going to put you in group 9.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm just going to put you in room 9 right now. There we go.
Sounds good.
See, there she is. It's all good. I was by myself for like 10 minutes in here, so I was like,
really?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
One more.
Did you have a question for me?
It was just that I was all by myself and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do if like there was nobody else in here with me. But then people came.
So, all right. Okay, I'll give you guys a few minutes then.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Can I ask a quick question, Dr. Laura? For our group, we're wondering the difference between doing a lesson plan for a whole class or just for a small group of like, say, 4 kids, if that matters.
Well, that's an interesting question. I've never had that. What kind of class do you mean with 4 people in it?
No, not a whole class of 4 people, just a small group. So like in Montessori, they do small presentations on a mat, right? So that's sort of what I was thinking about. And then, or in preschool settings, then Amy was saying that they'll often do small groups as well and present a lesson that way or a game that way.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
That's what that second page is for. So you didn't do your lesson plan on the first page, and then on the second page, that's where I would state that you're doing a Montessori. It's smaller classes. I mean, there's a reason they have the smaller classes, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, so I would mention that, and then that's what you're creating. No, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I also just have a quick question. I know that we're all kind of creating the same lesson plan in groups of 4. Is it just one person in our group handing it in, or do we all hand it in like under our own OWL accounts?
One person.
Okay.
So just designate one person who's going to hand it in, and maybe CC your teammates, your group mates, CC them so that they can see that you've done it. And then I mark it, and it goes, yeah, it's the 4 of you together.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if it's being uploaded into Connect yet or how you're submitting it. I'm trying to get it that we can do it in Connect because they've got a new platform that's really cool. I just don't know if it's going to work with OWL. So I'm looking into that right now. So there's no direction on how to submit it yet. But it's not for a while anyway, so. Okay, well, if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. Oh, there is.
Dr. Hogarth, I was wondering for the midterm, because it's online on the website, does it show us our mark right away?
Oh, you mean your midterm?
Oh, sorry, test 1.
Oh, for all the tests? No, it's done on, it doesn't show you the answer. I don't think it shows you, I don't know if it shows your mark right away. It may show you your mark right away. No one ever tells me. But then I'm going to go in anyways. I will go in on Saturday and, or Friday night. No, I can't go Friday night. You're submitting. You've got till Friday night. I'll go in on Saturday, or Sunday, ASAP, and move the grades into OWL. Anybody else? No? Okay. I want to let you know that group 10 wasn't showed on the page you screen shared. Group 10, maybe that's an old one.
Nope, that's us.
That wasn't on the sheet?
No, but we did sign up on OWL.
Okay, I will update it. I'll make sure it's updated.
Thanks.
All right, so chapter 3, we should get ahead on that. What was that? Sorry, I thought that was somebody coming in again. So again, here are the learning objectives. We're going to be looking at two major theories, which is Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory and Erikson's lifespan development. Those two are huge. You have to know those if you're going into education. Discuss how the social context of families, peers are linked to socio-emotional development. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to try to do some more like examples of how the theories pertain to education in the classroom. The second part, families, peers, and schools, we'll talk about briefly, but that's fairly straightforward. And then explain the different aspects of socio-emotional development, self-esteem, and self-identity. We'll be looking at a theory of moral development here as well. Okay. So like I said, the two theories, the two big ones that address children's socio-emotional development are Bronfenbrenner's. You have to practice saying that, by the way, and Erikson's lifespan development. These theories really help understand why children are acting the way that they are at the time, different areas that you can look at in order to support the children, youth, adolescents. Also things you can do in the classroom that sort of help support knowing where they are in these and all the different parts that influence their lives. So the first one is Bronfenbrenner. And Bronfenbrenner is all about focusing on the social contexts within which people live, right? And how that sort of influences their development. It influences absolutely everything. So you're thinking about children, they're embedded in all these different environments and all these different systems, and you have to pay attention to how these things are all, how they're all connected. So the Bronfenbrenner is all about the social contexts. So the 5 environmental systems, you've got the youth in the center, and that's the individual, right? And then it's got these systems that operate around it and interact with each other.
I have a quick question. Are you supposed to be showing us slides right now?
Yeah.
We just see each other.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm guessing that's better.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. That would have not been good if I got too far. The video is going to be fantastic.
As soon as you started saying circle, I was like, we don't see a circle.
In my mind, I see a circle, but
Well, I'm glad I could paint that picture for you. Yeah, I actually really appreciate if you guys like yell stuff out, because honest to God, I can't see what you see. I have no idea. I can just see what I think I see. Anyways, I'll just say that quickly then. These are the two theories, Bronfenbrenner and Erikson. In the first part, very key that you know those. Then the family, peers, and schools and how they interact. Then you get into socio-emotional development. The big one here is going to be this moral development. And there's a moral development theory there. You heard me say this. I don't need to get into that again. There's the child in the center, child, youth, adolescent. And then these are all the systems that work, that you have to consider, that work around the student. So the micro system is the yellow one here. I mean, obviously you can see that it's school, family, peers. It's all the people that they have direct interaction with. The meso system is this little purple band here, and that is the linkage between the micro and the exo. The exo system is like friends of the family, like people that are outside, neighbors, legal services, social welfare, everything that's operating outside the immediate environment of the youth. And then of course you've got the time here, whatnot. Macro system, broader culture in which the students and teachers live. And then the chronosystem, socio-historical conditions of students' development. So I've got a couple of examples because I know there's a difference between like looking at this and understanding and memorizing the terms. And I mean, what does that actually look like, right? So for the sake of time, I think I'm going to keep us together instead of going into groups for this one. So if everybody can take a look, this is theory into practice. This is an example. And think about what aspects of SIDS microsystem are discussed. What is micro and what is exo?
I'll answer this one. So, if I'm understanding right, the microsystem is the immediate environment for a child, and the exosystem is the institutions that play a role in their development. So, government and culture.
Exactly. So what would you put in this situation? What is SIDS microsystem? It's just practice.
His family, right?
Yeah, his family. Okay. I'm just going to give you 2 seconds. Try to think what the microsystem is and the exosystem, and I'll be back in just a minute. Sorry about that. I had a little emergency. So what do we have for the microsystem?
So for Sid's microsystem, it discusses that his father isn't there and that his mom is taking care of him and his sibling.
Yeah.
It also shows that, and then the transition between microsystem to exosystem is that the economic situation of his family is they're like a low economic family, and there's a connection between the two through the health services, through the school board, and through the different assistance they get to help his mom take care of them.
All right. Okay. Perfect. So, and then the mesosystem is the interaction. So basically the two of them are not working or interacting well for each other.
I have a question. Would it also be a meso relationship with them working with the school to get free meals and free book rentals?
Yes.
Okay.
So social services, legal services, and the school.
Okay, thank you.
Programs that they have going on at the school. All right, what have we got for time here? This is only 3 minutes, so we're hoping this works out. So I found here, there's lots of examples on YouTube, right? I find that a really good place to go and get different ideas and different examples of how this looks in the classroom, because it looks 1,000 different ways. I found this one, and this is actually a student. I think it's like a student's presentation for how they saw it working with integrating a new student, help for ESL students, and then other students with behavioral problems. So let's see if this works here. Again, let me know if it doesn't, because I can't see.
This set of slides will briefly discuss 3 key ways that I see Bronfenbrenner's theory of human development being applied and helpful in a classroom setting. The 3 key ways his theory can be helpful in a classroom setting that I will be discussing are how useful his theory could be when integrating a new student into your classroom, the gaps it could help bridge for English language learners, and the solutions it could help bring to light for students who consistently misbehave or have suddenly started to do so. The task of truly integrating a new student after the start of the school year is always a challenge. By taking the time to examine each of Bronfenbrenner's systems as it applies to the new student, you can have a better knowledge of what systems could benefit from some TLC. Is the child simply dealing with the changes that result from a move? Or was this move caused by a divorce or death in the family? Once we know more about the child, he or she is likely to feel more welcomed into the classroom, and that strengthens his or her microsystem, which in turn strengthens the whole child and better prepares him or her for learning. English language learners have a complex set of systems. In some ways, it's as though they have 2, one that speaks English and another that speaks their native language, with some characters being prevalent in both. Without looking at each system for the ELL student, it can be very easy to overlook a contributing factor to that child's overall development. For example, if the child is increasingly becoming more proficient in English speaking
The video sound isn't playing anymore.
feels she is turning her back on her native language and culture. This would most definitely cause a child to feel torn between 2 worlds and would greatly affect her learning and achievement. Learning of that dilemma for one of your students would better help you as the educator foster some middle ground, like maybe allowing the student to teach about her native language and native culture from time to time, or inviting members of her family to do so. Such a solution would help her feel like she's still vested in her family's culture. That whole situation and solution could be missed entirely if we don't apply Bronfenbrenner's theory and look at all the social settings our students are experiencing. Behavioral issues are an inevitable aspect to having a classroom of your own. It's easy to many times chalk students' decisions to act out as them just wanting attention or testing their limits because that's what children do. But what if we started asking ourselves, why are they acting like this more often? We can always ask the student, and many times we may get some part of the truth. But I think to truly understand why a student is making the choices he or she is, we need to use Bronfenbrenner's theory. While I had never heard of Bronfenbrenner until this project, I can see how I used his theory without even realizing it. In one of my years of teaching, I had a sweet, albeit energetic, girl in my class named Brent. She was bright, a hard worker, cared greatly to achieve well academically and behaviorally. One week, she was just not herself. She lacked enthusiasm about anything and didn't care if she found herself in trouble and was outwardly rude to her classmates. Fortunately, I had a very good relationship with her mother, so I had the ability to simply call and ask if there have been any major changes at home recently. Her mother was a single mother, so I had thought maybe she started dating someone new. What I learned by starting with Bryn's microsystem is that her dad, who routinely spends time with her, had been completely absent for the last 2 weeks at this point. He missed one too many times of spending time with Bryn, and she couldn't handle it anymore. Once her mother talked about the matter with her, and I do believe her father made some contact, she was back to her normal self. Had I not thought to look into her social settings like Bronfenbrenner suggests, even though I was unaware his theory was behind my actions at the time, who knows how long she would have continued to have issues. There are countless ways that Bronfenbrenner's theory can be of help when applied to the classroom, and these 3 are the ways that really stood out to me based on my own classroom experiences.
Okay. Does that help explain it, like ground it a little bit more, give you some examples? Okay. So a little section here about evaluating theory. I mean, this theory is used, everyone talks about it in education throughout everywhere. It is one of the biggest, most predominant theories for sure. One of the little critiques is that it doesn't pay attention to biological and cognitive factors. I mean, they're always going to think of something, right? But what it does do, it bridges the gap between behavioral theories that's focused on small things. It has people looking at the entire picture, right? Okay. The other major theory is Erikson's lifespan development theory. So I just with hands, although most of you have your cameras off, unfortunately. How many people have heard of Bronfenbrenner's and Erikson's? Like lots of people, pretty much. At least an intro psych, right? Okay. So Erikson's is more of its lifespan development proceeding in stages, right? And they've got their 8 stages here where the youth, child, whomever needs to have a conflict between, shame and guilt, initiative and industry identity, and they pass all of these, and it's a development over an entire lifespan. What have I got here? So these slides lay out what they are. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of something. There we go. These slides lay out the different steps as according to the book. But again, I found that a little bit boring. So I found another video, short ones. I always try to keep them under 4 minutes or so. But this goes through the stages and talks about each of them in just a little bit more of an entertaining way than the...
Erikson's theory of psychosocial development identifies 8 stages which a healthy individual should pass through from birth to death. At each stage, we encounter different needs, ask new questions, and meet people who influence our behavior and learning. Stage 1. Basic trust versus mistrust. As infants, we ask ourselves if we can trust the world, and we wonder if it's safe. We learn that if we can trust someone now, we can also trust others in the future. If we experience fear, we develop doubt and mistrust. The key to our development is our mother. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we experience ourselves and discover our body. We ask, is it okay to be me? If we are allowed to discover ourselves, then we develop self-confidence. If we are not, we can develop shame and self-doubt. Both parents now play a major role. Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. In preschool, we take initiative, try out new things, and learn basic principles like how round things roll. We ask, is it okay for me to do what I do? If we are encouraged, we can follow our interests. If we are held back or told that what we do is silly, we can develop guilt. We are now learning from the entire family. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority. Now we discover our own interests and realize that we are different from others. We want to show that we can do things right. We ask if we can make it in this world. If we receive recognition from our teachers or peers, we become industrious, which is another word for hardworking. If we get too much negative feedback, we start to feel inferior and lose motivation. Our neighbors and schools now influence us the most. Stage 5, identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, we learn that we have different social roles. We are friends, students, children, and citizens. Many experience an identity crisis. If our parents now allow us to go out and explore, we can find identity. If they push us to conform to their views, we can face role confusion and feel lost. Key to our learning are our peers and role models. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation. As young adults, we slowly understand who we are, and we start to let go of the relationships we had built earlier in order to fit in. We ask ourselves if we can love. If we can make a long-term commitment, we are confident and happy. If we cannot form intimate relationships, we might end up feeling isolated and lonely. Our friends and partners are now central to our development. Stage 7, generativity versus stagnation. When we reach our 40s, we become comfortable, use our leisure time creatively, and maybe begin contributing to society. Our concern is generativity. If we think that we are able to lead the next generation into this world, we are happy. If we did not resolve some conflicts earlier, we can become pessimistic and experience stagnation. People at home and at work are now who influences the most. Stage 8, ego integrity versus despair. As we grow older, we tend to slow down and begin to look back over our lives. We ask, how have I done? If we think we did well, we develop feelings of contentment and integrity. If not, we can experience despair and become grumpy and bitter. Time to compare us with mankind. Erik Erikson was a German-American psychologist who, together with his wife Joan, became known for his work on psychosocial development. He was influenced by Sigmund and Anna Freud and became famous for coining the phrase identity crisis. Although Erikson lacked even a bachelor's degree, he served as a professor at Harvard and Yale.
All right. Okay. So basically what you can do is take Erikson's stages of development, like identify where, I'm trying to put this in there. Identify where your students are going to be, right? The purpose and how you can use this is you decide where they're going to be. Are they going to be in the initiative years? It's sort of blocked into 3 here in the text, right? Ages 3 to 5. Or if you're in 6 to 12, or in adolescence, if you're in high school. And then use these stages knowing where they are at, and use that to inform your classroom design, your curriculum design, how you interact with them. Okay. So I'm going to put you into groups. For a quick one for 5 minutes, and take a look at this link here. There's lots of different places where you could, and for your research, for your lesson plans, you can research further how to use Erickson's stages of development to inform your class. Like, what other tidbits can you get? Okay, this is just one that I found, and it had a lot of good ideas for how you can use this in your classroom. Okay, so I'm going to put you in your groups I'll just put you in for 5 minutes because we do need to get the last theory down. So go in there quickly. Again, if you have trouble getting in, take your mutes off. And when in just a few minutes, I'll just ask you for your room number. Oh, I just opened all rooms. I guess you guys just go. Excellent. So who's in the room with me? Anybody?
Hi, I'm not sure if we're supposed to be in breakout rooms, but my computer like restarted while we were in class. So,
Oh, okay. I need to know your name, who's talking to me, and what group you're in.
Amy K, and I'm in group 4.
Perfect. Raf? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What group are you?
I'm in group 1.
Did you get kicked out?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And who else is left? Gamil? If you're there, can you take your mute off? Emily? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay. So was that helpful? Was everybody able to identify? Can somebody, a couple of people give me an example or give us all an example? What about somebody who's doing the younger years? What is one thing that you would, how you would use these stages?
So we were doing around 4 years old. And the one idea what we were talking about was to do a role-playing game of like introducing social niceties. So like practicing to write your name, but then introducing yourself to other people so that you're engaging your widening social world, and you're assuming responsibility for that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Encouraging social play. Anybody else? What about this, somewhere in this age group here in this industry, 6 to 12, which is rather large?
We don't know. We're group 15. We don't know what we want to do yet, but we were thinking of like volunteer and like the idea of altruism. So we don't know what our lesson's going to be yet, but I was thinking we could do it in like a group setting so they can like learn how to share their opinions and like help other people, and like it's not just about them.
Right. Okay, good. And what about the last group? Is anybody doing high school?
Our group was, and we were thinking about haiku poetry or another form of poetry if haiku poetry tends to be too simple. But anyways, we were thinking that this would be good for self-expression, and which really fits with identity for adolescents.
Okay, good, good. All right, excellent. Are there any questions around that? Which gives you some ideas of how you can use this and build it into your lesson plan, and then discuss it on page 2 of explaining why you chose the activities that you did. So that's an example of how you can do that. Okay. Evaluating Erikson's theory, strength view human development is lifelong, right? Rather than restricted just to childhood, we develop across the span of our lives. Criticism, the stages are too rigid. And there are some key concepts like identity, intimacy, and independent. Those are things that are important throughout our entire lives, not just at certain stages. And the theory has not been scientifically documented. So there hasn't been a lot of research on it, or research that supports these stages, but it has been critical in developing different like programming and whatnot, learning what stage your students are at. Okay, so we have 50.
Sorry, Dr. Laura.
Yes.
Why hasn't it been studied more if it seems so useful?
Well, it's difficult to study, right? I mean, how are you going to?
Okay.
Yeah, how are you? It's going to be difficult to scientifically study those things, right? So you can come up with like correlational data, but that's not. Correlational data is not supportive in the way that you would normally test a theory, you know?
Right.
So there's a lot of support for it, but not.
Okay.
Yeah. So social context of development. Briefly go through here. These are things, like I said, that are in your textbook that are not, it's not difficult simply to read about and learn about. Talking about firstly about the parenting styles. And there's 4. The difference between authoritarian, where parents are strict and punitive, or authoritative, where you're nurturing and supportive, yet they set limits. And research has shown that authoritative parenting seems to, I don't know how to say, yield the most positive results with youth, right? So they feel nurtured, they feel supported, but they have limits within where they're supposed to be. So they have some sort of guidance. Neglectful parents, obviously not a good thing. They're uninvolved at all. Children in those families tend to have poor self-control, and they don't handle independence well, and have low achievement motivation, really, because who cares, basically. And then indulgent parents are parents that are highly involved, but they set few restrictions. So these are some slides that you can go through and read. Again, we've got 10 minutes here, and we're going to talk about the class length, by the way, because I see that questions come up and there is a reason for it. Talks a little bit about working parents and children and divorced families. So I've created these slides, like specifically pulling out the key pieces for you to support you with your studying. Also, the Connect readings are really helpful for that as well. So it's my plan to cover and expand on the parts that you would benefit from seeing how it's applied in real life and that sort of thing. These things here, you don't need me to do this. Peer statuses, I mean, critical in adolescence is the fact that their peers become, the most important influencers for them. They provide a source of information and comparison about the world. I mean, they just become everything. They talk about 5 peer statuses being popular, average, neglected, rejected, and controversial. This is where I did my research for my PhD, which was actually really interesting, and I'd love to share with you. But anyways, so popular, they have lots of best friends and they're rarely disliked. Average, they get positive and negative peer nominations. Now, peer nominations is when you do a type of research where you're in a classroom and there's questions like nominate the top, who are the top most popular girls in your class? Who are the top most popular boys? Who's the funniest boy? Who's the bully in the classroom? And they nominate each other. And that's how they find out about youth social circles, because that's the only way really to find it out, right? Teachers generally don't know what's going on socially. That's nothing against teachers, because parents don't know either, right? No one knows but them. So anyways, that's what this study was about. Neglected, no best friends. They're not disliked, but they also don't have any friends. So they're just average. Rejected, they don't have any best friends and they're disliked. And they tend to have more serious adjustment problems and behavioral problems. Controversial means they often have best friends and they're disliked at the same time. So the reason you look at this and maybe become aware of this is that when you're in your classroom, you have some idea of what's going on with the peer dynamics in your classroom. You can always tell who the popular people are. You can tell who the rejected ones are, and maybe you can support them a little because they're struggling socially. I would like to look at this study again because in my research, the popular, and I did mine 2016, 2017, popular, everybody knew who the popular girls were in the classroom. There was always 1 to 2 per classroom, and they were the most disliked girls in the class. So they're the most popular and disliked at the same time. Whereas this study here says it's rarely disliked. So I actually want to go and look at this study now because it's different than mine. But anyways, just to know that these patterns do exist, and if you're aware of them, then you're more able to support them when it comes to Grafenbrenners, where you have to consider their social circles, right? You might have a better idea of what's going on. Again, there's some more slides here about friendships. These ones here, like I said, I pulled out all the major points, and you can just read through your chapter with those things. The transitions to elementary school. The transitions between going kindergarten, elementary school, and then elementary school. I believe this one has, yeah, it's an American high school, so you have to sort of mentally adjust that for Canada, right? But the transitions have some key things that are going on for these youths that interacts with the theories that we talked about today, right? The Erickson's stages of psychosocial development, right? So when they're in that stage of development and transitioning into high school or into elementary school, how do those things interact? So in elementary school, the school provides children with a rich source of ideas to shape their sense of self. All of a sudden, their elementary school, their teacher-child relationships becomes super important. It used to be, you know, mom and the family and the dad, or mom and mom, or whoever it is. And now it's the school. So that's a big change. So children who are in an atmosphere where they have a caring teacher and positive attitudes towards school, they achieve more and do better. Special concerns about adolescent schooling. They're talking about the puberty. They've got all that stress going on because of their developmental changes. Remember, we talked about the brain and how their brain, their emotions are just on fire, but they can't control anything. So, you know, they're going into high school and they're kind of wigging out because they've got all these emotions going on and they don't know how to control it, and there's lots going on. So you can consider that when you're doing your lesson planning and maybe how people are behaving. You've got the top dog phenomenon, where, you know, in grade 8, they're the king of the school and they're the boss of everything. And now they go into grade 9 and they're a little grade 9 nerdy dude who's going to get picked on. It's a big change, right? So in grade 9, there'll be a lot of this top dog phenomenon going on. Positive things about going into high school: they've got more choice, more independence, more opportunities to spend time with friends. And then you have to weigh that, what those things could mean. Ways to improve high schools. It says America's high schools. I would still take a look at this and consider it and think, could that be the same in Canada? It is American research. Likely it's going to be very, very similar here. So that's information I would always keep in the back of my head. And there's some suggestions. Now, while we're here with 125, and I'm going to be staying after so we can talk about a few different things. But anyways, we'll get as far as we can. Socio-emotional development. So the big piece here is knowing this theory that's in the moral development stage, which we were going to get to. They talk a little bit about self-esteem. And how that's your overall view of yourself and like how you feel about yourself. Do you feel good about yourself, right? Also referred to as self-worth or self-image. And take a look at what the research says on that. I tried to bullet point that for you. So low self-esteem is linked to low achievement, depression, eating disorders, and delinquency. So low self-esteem, very bad. Kids actually start off in school with very high self-esteem. Back in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Generally speaking, super high. They think they're awesome. And then it plummets until they hit teenage years. And then it hits a low. Unfortunately, about the same time as your emotions start up and your control center doesn't work. So it all converges right there, right? Low self-esteem in adolescence is associated with poor mental health, physical health, lower SES, social economic status, and higher levels of criminal behavior later in life. And then I talked about that. And girls' self-esteem drops at twice the rate of boys. There is a section in the text, what are some strategies used to promote self-esteem in the classrooms? It's on page 93 and 95. There are some examples there. You can use this if you guys have got a document on Google Drive or something that you're working on together. I would point out as something that you could think about and consider, is there a way that in your lesson plans, this would take ways to increase their self-esteem, promote self-esteem, support, if there's anything there. Especially if your age group, keeping in mind the age group that you're doing. So if you're doing grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, they're flying high at that time. You may not need to worry too much, right? But if you're doing grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, this is something maybe you want to think about when you're doing your plan. Is there anything you can incorporate to help and support? It goes on with identity development to talk about Marcia's 4 stages of identity. I put an extra chart here for you. Pretty straightforward. I haven't read this or used this in any of my work, but it is an interesting way to look at identity. So I would take a look at that. And then a little bit about ethnic identity and how immediate context in which ethnic minority youth live influences their identity development. Again, you may want to look at your classes and where you are and how you can support ethnic identity. And positive ethnic identity is related to positive outcomes for ethnic minority adolescents. So the last thing we're looking at is this moral development, okay? This class is supposed to, okay, so we're gonna take a second to talk about why the class is an hour and a half, okay? The class is an hour and a half because of the surveys and the research and the talking to people, 3 hours, a lot of people do not want a 3-hour Zoom lecture in front of a computer during COVID. Absolutely not. It's too stressful. It's crazy, right? Not only is it a long time for you guys to sit there, but a lot of people also are caregiving for other people. They've got kids at home, they've got appointments, they've got to maybe take care of their parents. There's a lot going on for a lot of people right now. So I had to take the course and simplify it. I was actually, like I said, going to add more, and they came back and said, no, Laura, you need to take it back. So I reduced the assignments. I'm letting you guys do it in groups of 4 instead of groups of 3 to make it a little simpler, a little less time consuming. The classes are an hour and a half because of the reasons that I said. So I would love to have you for much longer, but just to be accommodating, this is what we're doing. Having said that, I am happy to stay a little bit later each time. I'm also happy to put you in your groups at the end of our lessons so that you have, while you're together, you can have an extra 10 or 15 minutes to chat because you're already here and it's convenient. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then also really, I'm not supposed to be teaching you everything in the chapter now that you're all second year university, like you're supposed to be learning that stuff on your own. And then it's my job to expand on it and sort of help you put it into context, into the real world sort of thing. Yeah. So the last one, Kohlberg's level of moral development. This is another one. If you're taking 3 things from this chapter, absolutely know these 3 theories. And I don't mean for the test, I mean for your lives going forward in education. You're always going to be using these. So you've got 3 stages: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. We focus mostly on the first 2. Post-conventional, they're all grown up, you're not teaching them. Before the age of 9, they've got these 2. So stage 1 is avoiding punishment and then aiming at reward. So basically their moral reasoning, what they think they should do or not do, is controlled by punishments and rewards. Super shallow. What am I going to get, or am I going to get hurt? That's it, right? Then you go up into adult, and of course that changes up, you know, you're hitting age 8, age 9, and they're learning more. And by adolescence, 9, 10, 11, whenever that is, internal standards imposed by others. So you want to please people, and they want to be a good, you know, you want to be thought of as a good person, good boy, bad boy, girl, whatnot. Then stage 4 is loyalty to law and order. You start to look around and think, oh, it's not just me here. Like there's a whole group of people here, and we need to follow the rules so that everybody is safe. Okay, I've got some examples coming up. Post-conventional morality is internal. You do things for what is right, what is wrong, universal principles. It gets much higher level here. We won't really be getting up much into this. This is when they're adults, right? So I pulled a couple of examples. This is sort of real world, but I like the next one better now, but I just left this one anyways. So the first one, pre-conventional, moral reason is closely tied to personal concerns. Should I be speeding? Am I going to get a ticket? Right? It's just about the ticket. I'm all pre-conventional on that one. But, well, when you're in a rush, you're in a rush. So self-interest, what's in it for me? Stage 2, you start to realize that other people have goals. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to give her a ride here. Mind you, you're not supposed to be driving at this time. This is when they're very young. 6 years old. I'm going to do something for somebody because I think she's going to share her candy with me. Not a moral thing, right? Level 2, interpersonal harmony, accord and harmony. Individual acts with the goal of fulfilling social roles. Then, yeah, they get into social roles. They look around and see what they should be doing. Stage 4, authority and social order, the desire to maintain functional society and obeying the laws. So society has laws and we need to follow them. And then, of course, this pre-conventional that we're not going to get into. So if you look here, this is in a classroom setting. So pre-conventional, everything is about rewards and punishment. They get a little bit older and say, what's in it for me? So if you are if you have a classroom, let's say that you're teaching grade 1, grade 2, you want to take a look at this. What does it mean for your classroom if this is what they're thinking? And I've got a little exercise to come up, which you can or may not participate in because we're over time. Conventional morality, they're getting a little bit older. So if your students are in this age group, what does that mean for your classroom? It means different things. Okay. Post-conventional, again, that's older. We're not going there. So I did have this super fun, we'll call it a game. I had this game for us to play, which you're still more than welcome to play. I'm going to I'll put you into your groups and you are welcome to stay in your group and talk about this. Or since we're over time, you're welcome to leave and move on with your day. Also, if you want to come back and talk to me about anything, you can do that. You can wave me and I can come in and help. So just so that you know here, stage 1, morality, rules fixed, what this means for your classrooms. I gave an example. Set a code of conduct for the classroom to encourage good behavior. Right? If all they're doing things is to avoid punishment and get rewards, they don't understand why things are happening. So you want to have the rules laid out very clearly for them so that they can behave well, right? They know what's going on. When they get older, stage 2, other people have goals. What's in it for me? Now you want to maybe have activities that encourage cooperation because they're noticing that other people need things. They're noticing that other people have perspectives. So what can I do to foster that and support that? And then the same thing going forward, living up, now they're in social conformity. So instead of maybe grade 5, grade 6, instead of you setting the code of conduct for the classroom, maybe you allow the students to do it because they're able to. Okay. So people are dropping like flies here. I can see that. So I'm happy either way. I'm going to stay here. And I'll stay here for the next 10 or 15 minutes. Happy to answer questions or anything. And you're welcome to leave and go do your thing and study. That's it. Does anybody have any questions about the test or anything they want to ask me?
I had a question about the assignment, the lesson plan.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to use other documents to help us other than Bronfman, Brenner, and Erickson? Like, can we use How Does Learning Happen or Elect if we're doing one of the smaller age groups, like ages like 2 to 6?
Oh, please do.
Okay.
Use your research skills to create an awesome lesson for sure. Just make sure the people that you use are research-based or evidence-based of some kind. It's not,
okay,
Bill from down the street who has his own ideas about things, just solid theories, then yeah, absolutely. And then just reference them. That'd be great.
Okay, cool.
Anybody else?
I just had a question about the lesson plan assignment pertaining to our age group, which is 12 plus.
Okay.
So we were thinking about doing haiku poetry.
I'm sorry, can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, I'm so sorry. We were thinking about doing haiku poetry.
Haiku?
Haiku.
I don't know what that is.
It's probably the simplest form of poetry. It's only about 3 lines, maybe 5 syllables, 7 syllables. Really, really simple. And apparently it's being taught to younger ages. I'm not quite sure if we should continue with haiku poetry just because it has previously been taught to younger ages. Would you suggest that we teach haiku poetry in a way that applies to our age group, or choose a more sophisticated form of poetry that also applies to our age group?
I don't know anything about poetry, to be honest. I think you need to look at the poetry and decide for yourself if there's a way that if that's developmentally appropriate for like the skill level of your age group. I don't know enough about that type of poetry, to be honest.
Okay, thank you so much.
It could be okay. That would be, yeah, I would just make your decision and then just note that in the second page. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't be more helpful with that one.
No, that's still helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Anybody else? All good? All right.